If you hear one thing, hear this. The Stadia team is working really hard on a great future for Stadia and cloud gaming. We hope you agree, and we know proof is in the playing. So, since the 5th of February 2022, things have somewhat changed for Stadia, because it's dead. It's dead, and I'm glad that we're recording this a few days after the news broke, because if we talked about this the day that it came out, we would have missed quite a few decently juicy, because they're pretty friggin' impactful, aspects to this story.
Yeah, it's fun whenever it's like, hey, Stadia is dead, and everyone has like their first moment of, of course it is. Of course it is. It was only a matter of time. What was the Google's like 4 years before their like average product life cycle? So Stadia is very close to on the way out anyway. But now that everyone's kind of had their time to go, oh, that was very funny. We should maybe talk about this. Ask different people why this is happening, how it went, what are your plans now?
Yeah.
What's going on with all of the controllers that people are now calling utter e-waste? Thanks, Google. Where did Don't Be Evil go? That's not your motto anymore? Anyway, yeah, it's fun.
So, Stadia last from the 19th of November 2019 until the 18th of January 2023. Not a particularly great run, and this is a little note from the desk of Mr. Phil Harrison, who is now on the launch of his third failed system. While the approach to streaming games for consumers was built on a strong technology foundation, it hasn't gained the traction with users that we expected. Surprising, we just about all told you that because it really made just about no sense for the average consumer, including the more value-oriented consumer that perhaps streaming would be good for, considering it would be avoiding the the upfront hardware costs. But no, they did a business that could be single-handedly be completely destroyed if Microsoft decided to just release a small, cheap dongle or a TV.
Did anyone tell Logitech this? No. Because they just released their Logitech Cloud? Okay, never mind.
Yeah. Just say it's a tough market, and while Stadia had pretty amazing technology, it was pretty damn good tech, right? And they did have some nice little solutions to a few issues, but fundamentally, I just think that the value proposition was not there, considering what ownership of a game meant over with Team Xbox, where you also had the local copy that will always work. Shouldn't say always work in the modern context of games, but you get my point.
Yeah, it tried to basically take the shortcut to being a platform without actually thinking about what most users were going to be thinking or feeling or using. It was literally just, hey, we've got a good idea. How can we mental gymnastics our way into this making sense? Financially and logistically, without ever dealing with the hard truth that it was a bad idea.
How can we do this while having less content and offering less value? Because ultimately, Stadia was expensive and generally did not offer a great value, even though it was built on top of great tech. So they, Phil announced they'll be refunding all Stadia hardware purchases made through the Google Store and all game and add-on purchases made through the store as well. So basically, all of the revenue generated from Stadia over this period of time is being given back to people.
That's pretty good. Obviously Google will be able to afford that pretty handy, but that is still that is one of the silver lining here is that anyone who's kind of was in on this don't leave feeling like they've been scammed. Like everyone thought Stadia was effectively a scam in the first place, going, oh, so you're going to buy a load of games and they'll disappear and go nowhere and all our money will be gone? Yes, but at least you'll get your money back. So at least that's okay. Gotta give them at least some sort of respect for doing that at least.
Yeah. Now, there is a silver lining here. So streaming tech, I think, is pretty damn awesome and has a lot of absolutely fantastic future applications. Here's a really good example using something like, is it Shadow is the one?
The PC rental service?
Yeah. No, it wasn't Shadow. It was whatever its front end looks a bit like Discord.
You're thinking Parsec?
I'm thinking of Parsec, yeah. So Parsec is that computer-to-computer streaming stuff, and we were just thinking of, getting something set up in the office with Parsec, so we would always have access to our stuff here in the office, but because Parsec is a hell of a lot better than a lot of other older solutions, with a really good user experience. So that's just an example for us in business of this being really handy. For a lot of you, you might find a lot of value in setting up a situation where perhaps if you're on the road, if you're on holidays, you can always remote into your home PC. Maybe you've got a home server with some files, whatever it is. This is all great. And of course, for gaming, I've already experienced cloud tech being very useful in my own life with, being in a different place with an iPad and a controller and actually spinning up a few games using the Xbox streaming tech, which was surprisingly strong. So Google does say that they see clear opportunities to apply this technology in other parts of Google, as well as make it accessible for their industry partners. So I think they've realized, okay, we're not going to be consumer facing, but they've maybe thought our tech is great, our server infrastructure is great, we can go B2B. Business to business.
That's always been Google's strength, honestly.
Yep, they want some enterprise customers in the same way like one of the pillars of the Microsoft Corporation is strong enterprise.
Because of, obviously, like Azure is basically why they can do the cloud gaming stuff so well, because they already have the background for it, but they also have the platform that is Xbox. The problem with Stadia was they didn't have the platform for games, and they thought, we're Google, we can do that. Easy. No problem. And obviously, no one stopped and said, Phil Harrison, have you lost the plot again? Everyone just went, do you want loads of devs and hundreds of millions? Work away, sir. No problem.
Yeah, it was a full-on, why are you launching into a market that's about to be very competitive, but while offering a worse deal? And that is ultimately one of the reasons why Stadia never really found an audience. I think for a lot of people, we still think about some things a bit more traditionally, and we like the idea of owning the game in a way that we can download it to a local device where the files are there, where we know it will run.
Yeah, cloud is and will, I imagine will be for a long, long time, will just be a nice backup option for when you don't have access to hardware temporarily. It's access to the existing platform that you have all your stuff on.
Yeah.
That's, I imagine, what it will be for the longest time. Obviously, they all talk about like what are people who only play cloud stuff and they only play a couple of games every now and again. That's fine, but that's not going to be the meat and potatoes. That's going to be like that's going to be the special unique USP you can get some new customers in with, but it's not going to be everyone. Everyone's going to be like, can I have the good experience, please?
Yeah. Now, this is what's tricky.
Yep.
They probably wanted to eventually have a big, God of War like, not literally like, but, a massive exclusive. So they made a publishing and development house headed up by Jade Raymond. Didn't even last 2 years after the fairly early feeling release of Stadia. They cancelled many titles. The Quarry by Supermassive Games, Life on High by Squash Games. Also, they turned down a Stadia exclusive Death Stranding 2 from Hideo Kojima, and another game from Yu Suzuki, who made Outrun.
Could you imagine turning down a Kojima game for your platform?
Yeah.
I imagine he must have asked for a lot of money. But
he probably realized, if I do this, I am going to lose a lot, and people will be pretty frustrated. You need to compensate the fuck out of me.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, it would need to be Kojima making that deal to buy a hell of a lot of future freedom, I would imagine, given the general ambitions that he seems to have as a creative.
He absolutely is very much. He, as always, and I think even still does in the PS4 gen, we'll see about the PS5 gen, but always runs into bottlenecks of, this isn't powerful enough for me yet. Even moving to the PS, because this is the whole Did You Know Gaming videos on Metal Gear Solid recently have been, with David Hayter voicing them, have been just, no, Kojima's a madman. He wants to do the most insane, crazy stuff. He wanted to have internet online enabled AI supported by human avatars stuff for characters in Metal Gear Solid 2. So you can see why he would want to do this, but clearly they were like, no. No, wait. You want to make a game that uniquely leverages the power of our platform and would in fact be a transcendental experience for video games, something that only the power of our platform could enable? Nah, we're okay. Go back to 505 and Sony there, Kojima. We don't need you.
Yeah. They didn't.
Dumbasses
They didn't come out strong enough, and they also did try to, I guess, innovate or change up some things. So they did some technology licensing out to other companies for streaming demos of games, or using that tech to allow for play testing and development stuff. They did that with Bungie. all of course encouraging people to put games on their platform. They also were promising a 15% revenue split from June 2021 to 23, while developers would also be given 70% of any Stadia Pro subscription revenue made during their month of release. Divided between the relevant games that would apply to. So basically a rolling kind of like bonus pool. These things did not turn the situation around, and the final nail in the coffin came from Sundar Pichai himself, who is the CEO of Google. Basically, in the last all hands, he was pushing for a significant, cost reduction, removal of waste within the business. One other thing of note is the Pixelbook project does appear to have been canned as well. Stadia then, it started from a position of weakness. It never got, it never really got momentum. It was just saying, hey gamer, do you want to buy full price for access to a game in the cloud? To which gamer says, no, I'd rather buy the game, actually. And, look, if I do it in Microsoft, seems I might get to stream it too. Microsoft had them completely mogged.
Yeah.
Like, utterly mogged. Just fucking destroyed. That's the thing. And I've got to say, this tweet is just goddamn hilarious. To be fair, Stadia faced terrible odds in the past 3 years. It had to deal with a pandemic forcing people to turn to online entertainment, graphics cards and console shortages, creating high demand for alternatives. If only they hit the market at a better time.
Yeah, absolutely no one was
interested.
interested.
Not capitalizing that wave.
No one was interested in cloud gaming or mobile gaming or anything during that time whatsoever. It's not like Steam released Steam Play Together to facilitate all of that, or Parsec got extremely big because people were using it to play games together over the cloud. None of that happened at all. Dude,
as rumblings of a mysterious new flu were spreading around, literally in that November, that's when Stadia came out. If they had have came in, here's the thing, they've just had to go and refund this anyway. If they had have decided this is a major strategic initiative, we are going to bring down the force of God upon the games industry. Look at how much money we have. Because they're willing to wind this down by refunding everyone when they literally do not have to do that.
Yeah.
Right? So you just wonder, could they not have afforded to offer users a more competitive value proposition when the unanimous feedback from the games industry was, other than the Stadia Reddit, was, what the hell? This does not make sense.
Man, those Stadia Reddit people are going to be in for the biggest windfall of their entire lives. Thousands back into their accounts. But yeah.
You did just get to... they did get a thing that they enjoyed for a few years for free.
They're the people... But are they the only people who won? But we got to laugh them the whole time, and it ended how expected. So I think everyone wins except Google in this scenario.
Yeah,
which is actually pretty good.
There's people who don't win. That's partners,
of course.
Because now it's time for the rough stuff. So, Pixel Junk Raiders. This was one of the first games to use Stadia's technology in a meaningful way, allowing people to jump in and load save states from their friends' screenshots. Imagine a friend sends you a screenshot of a crazy moment at a game and you can just, boom, you've zoomed into it and now you're playing it.
Very cool.
Awesome tech, right? Now this does come after Q Games have only just republished their previously delisted title, the Tomorrow Children, after getting the rights back from Sony.
Yeah,
We've got...
because Connor was telling me about that whole process, right? He's telling me about this story of the Raiders and Tomorrow Children, and it was just full on. These people cannot catch a break publishing these games, man.
Yeah. Even with Jade Raymond, the amount of just stuff not panning out. So Pac-Man Mega Tunnel Battle, which is a battle royale Pac-Man in the vein of Tetris 99. Hello Engineer, basically a Hello Neighbor universe kart game. Outcasters, which is a game from Splash Damage, and Guilt, a third-person horror shooter from Tequila Works, who are the people behind the Sexy Brutale. So Google have decided this and then immediately implemented it with their partners, the people that they had signed, exclusivity deals with, finding out at the same time that you and I did. Can you imagine? You have whatever, your funding is lined up because you got the Stadia deal. And then at the same time that all us punters find out about it, you find out that something materially has just changed with the Stadia company. So you absolutely would hope that they would honor some of their financial, obligations to these studios. So here are the developers who are currently working on unreleased Stadia games. IO Interactive, Bungie, Ubisoft, CDPR, Tequila Works. They've all had to release statements saying that they will do what they can to offer versions of games or, other things like that. Ubisoft are investigating transferring purchases over to Ubisoft Connect.
Yeah, there was a story about someone who I think it was 6,000 hours played on a character on Red Dead Redemption 2 and the Red Dead Online stuff on Stadia. And they're just like, please, Rockstar, please let me transfer the save. I want to continue playing this great game, but it's just going to die in a couple months. Shit. But then the fun part is, because all of the CDPR news broke today of all the the games they're working on, and even going through the marketing for them, they literally didn't have time to remove the Stadia logo from even
funny.
the new Cyberpunk expansion that they announced the name of. It's like, yeah, there's just a Stadia logo there. You're like, Jesus Christ. It must have just literally full been. The Google CEO goes, shut it down. Like, you mean now? Yeah, now. Like, okay, I guess. I guess we just go and shut it down with no warning whatsoever. Dire.
Now here's stuff that's rough, right? Because there's some devs who are in the process of releasing Stadia games, and we just do have that. There does not seem to be much of reasonableness from Google. So here's from Mike Rose. Oh my God, links the article. We have a game coming to Stadia in November. Who wants to guess that Google will refuse to pay us the money they owe us for it? Now, even that as a level of a level of ambiguity on the running of your business is rough, right? Because Mike's company will have spent money on publishing whatever this title is, right? Funding its development, doing marketing, all of that stuff. For the developers themselves, they're probably thinking, oh wow, we got this Stadia deal. This has went through the regular revenue waterfall of our contract for our royalties, which means that we've already paid back the publisher's stuff, and now our revenue split is better because of that. Oh, maybe that's not the case anymore. So this is material stuff. Here's another one. I know everyone's having a great time laughing at this, but Stadia had the best dev revenue of any streaming service, and launching Hyper Gunsport there was going to recoup our dev costs. We were launching there in November and are now in a much tougher situation. That's shit. We literally signed the publishing agreement with Stadia last week. So I would assume the internal teams there, who are lovely, are likely finding out about this at the same time that we are, since I had a super energetic meeting with them last week about us joining. So this is at a stage where Google do not even have a rolled out internal plan of this, because the Stadia team are still getting deals across the line the week before the closure of the service is announced. That is absolutely insane. And their own developers did not know up till the day that it was cancelled. Here's from Peter. It's a weird experience starting your workday and realizing the feature you've been working on for 6+ months and we're launching soon is no longer relevant. If nothing else, it does put things in perspective, onward and upwards.
That's so
Ouch.
painful, man. Just, sorry, all that, a substantial enough portion of your life that you're working for us. Sorry if you're because obviously when you've got quality, talented engineers, you're going to have people who are really passionate about doing the best job and pushing forward features and pushing forward the experience for users and stuff like that and giving it their all. They're like, yeah, sorry, 6 months your work's just in the bin. You're like, cool, I guess. Good luck keeping these people at Google without, offering them other very nice jobs and very much nice money for it.
Yeah, and I think this ultimately means Google are out of consumer-facing video games. Developers will not trust them. Customers will not trust them. It is good that they're doing right by their customers. You may not even say right. You may say they're doing more than right by their customers. For those refunds, right? That's definitely positive. So we're not, we do have to give them credit there. We need to find out whether developers and publishers will have financial obligations, be honored, given that Google is obviously, Alphabet is a very solvent company. It's doing just fine, we presume. They will have the cash to honor these agreements. And I mean, contractually, surely they do have outstanding obligations. So let's hope that all of that stuff does happen. But again, based on what Brandon was saying, that they're not launching there and now they're in a more tough situation, that does not bode well. And, treating your customers good is important, but treating your partners well is also important. And this is a bad mark for Google. One that very much validates the work of one Jason Scott. Jason did create StadiaCountdown.com, which is a very simple thing. It's a countdown timer set to the average lifespan of any Google product or service. And the average is 4 years till death. So they've actually speedrun it with Stadia. They've came in at only 3 years and 2 months. Not 4 years. So, well done, Sundar. Well done, Google. You've beaten the average.
That's a 10-month time save. That's really impressive.
Yeah, you've pivoted faster than normal.
Yeah.
And, we say this as a joke at their expense, but actually, you have to remember, the way that you do things in big tech, it is MVP. Release your minimum viable product, see what you get from that, and, at some point you pump all the friggin' capital in to make that motherfucker grow, and, as you are growing and growing and growing, you're then going to work out, okay, when do we do the bit of, do the squeeze to think about profitability? And the idea of, killing ideas fast when they're not working, that is very much in the Silicon Valley ethos, because ultimately, if something's doomed to fail and you just hold on for 8, 9, 10 years while it's slowly dying, instead of killing it quickly and moving on to something else with the experience you've gained, you're going to run out of time in your career, actually. So, it's called fail fast. And in fairness, fail fast, it does make sense. There's many times that, I've killed projects in a way that hurt, in a way that was still fail fast, because ultimately shit wasn't going to work. We could have kept those projects going for like another year or two, and it would have been a slow death, and that would have killed the company. The thing though is, when you're launching, like this is fine if you're creating a tool. This is what I've always said about Google. They're really shit at making products. They're damn good at making tools.
Yeah, almost. I think it's like the only thing that's a product
Utilities.
of theirs. Yeah, the only product of theirs is like actually kind of lasted a while has been the Pixel, right? The phone. Because that's actually a pretty decent Android flagship.
Got the Pixel. I wonder what's going on with all the Nest stuff, because Google acquired Nest. YouTube, of course, that was a successful acquisition that kind of has worked out pretty well for people. But other than that, you've got G Suite for enterprise, but the likes of Google Docs, Sheets, etc., they are not really updated much.
No, but
stuff's languishing.
Yeah, Google almost feels a little bit like Valve in that sense, where they kind of go, "Hey, we're doing something. We think." It just seems like someone just like goes, this is my project. And then one day they go, I'm bored. I mean, what's the Toy Story movie? Just dropping the toy in the bin.
Yeah, and
just
I think people also probably just need to realize so many of their staff are just working on shit related to ads.
Yep.
It's the kind of thing that, honestly, if you're outside of that game, you probably don't understand. I don't.
Yeah, and
it's a big black box of engineers doing things to make more ad money. Yeah. I don't give a shit about that.
I don't want to know anything about it. I don't even like looking at it from the outside. Never mind looking at it from the inside. I want nothing to do with that.
So there you...
Yeah, just because you mentioned fail fast.
Oh, yeah.
I want to talk about... I'm not going to do it very long because I don't have all the details at hand. But Phil Harrison. Look at his Wikipedia page. That man has just failed upwards so hard. His entire career. It is unbelievable. I think the last work that was outwardly, because he probably does a whole load of work. He probably worked pretty hard and all that stuff. But it just seems to be there's a curse following that man. And I think the last time he did something that was seen as widely positive was PS1 marketing in Europe. That's how long ago it was. That man's seemingly been going around just wrecking things for 20 years.
Well, see, that's
or having something, some sort of negative karmas following him around.
Yeah, that's what it's like with these big monolithic projects with a low chance of success. Look, Jade Raymond, the amount of initiatives that she's almost ping-ponged around trying to get set up. Yeah, it's quite something. So I guess, funny enough, this is pretty good for me because I...
Oh, yeah.
Turns out, everyone, I've been a Stadia subscriber for quite a while. I forgot to cancel my subscription.
Very good.
So, I mean, it's ended up nice. Let's see, what have I got? I've got...
It's like a tax rebate.
2 e-waste controllers.
Yeah.
Hopefully there'll be some way that those can be used.
We didn't cover it here, but there's something where they may have a pretty short shelf life unless Google actually update them with a Bluetooth update. Give them a nice little OTA for other support and longevity. because otherwise it kind of would just languish.
Let's hope there could potentially be a community fix to that at the very least.
Hopefully, yeah.
Because, hey, people are really goddamn smart on the internet. So, I guess the nice little bright side for me is I'm up 2 Chromecast Ultras, which I don't really need. 2 Stadia controllers, which I might not even be able to use. So yeah, I guess, I don't know, that'll pay for like a few weeks of groceries.
Very good.
So it's not particularly exciting, but
No.
yeah. Don't you love when you forget about a subscription and then you feel like a massive doofus, and then reality doesn't punish you for your actions because Google are going to refund? Very rare that happens.
Yeah. I have a Bloomberg and a Wall Street Journal subscription because you have to phone them during the working hours to cancel.
Is that illegal?
I think that's illegal, but I haven't been able to call them during the day and I keep forgetting. So I've been paying Jason Schreier's wages, apparently.
All right, next step, we have to sue Bloomberg.
Go for it.
What a crazy story. There you go. Big tech, consumer products. Yep. It's like Google just needs to learn a few things from other companies, to put it very simply.
Yeah.
I was about to make an Apple sort of analogy, but honestly, not even Apple, because I just think Apple are so well moated and like an edge case, right? But they needed to at least look at the value offering that people could get with what was going to be coming out. I mean, we're thinking about the Xbox Series S. That gives you full cloud plus local gameplay. Like, they will have known that this was the business model of Stadia. And, these big companies, they do know what the other companies are working on. Like, the corporate intelligence is a thing. They're going to know that at some point Microsoft is just going to put out their version of a Chromecast that you'll be able to play your Xbox Cloud on.
Yeah.
That is going to work in their subscription service. That is going to benefit from them being goddamn Xbox, having all of these deals, having all of these partners and pre-established relationships. Surely Google would have known that the vague death of this was coming because of their big competitor. But it seemed that when Google needed to make a proper hard commitment to this, they evidently did not give it the resources that it needed.
Mm-hmm.
And that's just that. They
And now-
did not commit.
And now we can't even laugh at it anymore because it's gone. At least we got one last it went out with a bang in a way.
Yeah.
Because obviously it could have went out by, announcing this internally and speaking to all the developers and making sure there were no, problems with it whatsoever. Now they're just like, yeah, shut it down. Devs, sorry. We'll give you money, maybe. Goodbye. Dire.
Chaos. That's it for the story. Wow. So, hey, if you looked at this and thought, well, that seems stupid and not really well thought out, you can actually pat yourself in the back for seeing what Google couldn't see ahead of time. Perhaps if there was more people like those of us who were going around being critical of their business plan, if there's more people like that internally, maybe Google has a bit of a weird culty culture where, no think ain't allowed. Who the hell knows? But certainly, they did not get the feedback that they needed to get by the time that they conceived and launched this product. Mm-hmm. And maybe it'll be a big lesson to actually listening to your target customers. Anyway.
I doubt it.
That's it for us. If you want to support what we're doing, you can check out The Pale Beyond on Steam, the link below. And yeah, we'll catch you next time.